Good morning, everyone. Our today's topic is database connectivity using Python. We'll connect it to SQL database, and we'll also connect it to MySQL database, and we'll see the programming of database connectivity using Python. Before going to database connectivity program, let us know what is database, right? So before that, let us know what is a data. Data is collection of raw facts and information is processed data. What is the difference between data and information? Collection of raw facts is data and processed data is information. For example, if I say 2, 3, 4, 5, all this comes under data. But when I say 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, 5 is information. 2 is added to 3, that is 2 and 3 data has been processed and you got the result as 5. This result 5 is called as information. Right? Then what is database? Collection of interrelated data is database. When I say, for example, student number, student name, the marks, right, the grade he is obtained in the examination, all these are related to student. So when the data is related, then the collection of such related data is called a database. When I say student number, student name, and patient number, patient number is nowhere related to student. It is related to doctor. So there is no relation or interrelation between student number, student name, and patient number. There is. So when you construct a database, there should be a interrelation between the columns that you are creating. Now, see, you have different types of databases. I'll let us try to explain using Excel database, right? So database here is the collection of tables. Say sheet 1, consider sheet 1 as table 1, sheet 2 as table 2, sheet 3 as table 3. And this table consists of rows and columns. Now, I would like to student table, say with roll number 1, and his name is XYZ, and the total marks he obtained is 325. And the next student 2 with the name ABC has obtained the marks 225. Similarly, the student number 3 with the same name XYZ has obtained the marks 234. Right? So these are student details. But you know that these are student details. But if anyone sees these details, they don't know what is this data is. You know that this is student number, this is student name, and these are total marks. But if someone else sees this, they does not understand what type of data that is. So every column should have a column name. So a table consists of rows and columns, and every column will have a column name. That is student number, this is student name, and this is marks. Right? And see, this is student details. And let us see in which this table will let us create this department table. And the student is studying in which department. Say we'll add the department number also. Department number 1, department number 2, and department number 3. And in department table, we'll create a department table with a department number 1, department number, department name, right? Department number 1, department 2, and let us create department 3 with CSC department, ECE, and EEE, right? So let us go back to our student table, right? If I say how many marks does the student XYZ has got, then to give the answer, you get confused at whether to reply as 325 or 234. But if I ask the question that how many marks that student number 1 has obtained, then immediately you will answer that it is 325. If I ask in which department student number 2 is studying, then immediately you reply that he is studying in department number 2. So when I ask any question based on student number, you can give reply. So student number is called as primary key. A primary key is a key which uniquely identifies a row in the entire table. So in the student table, student number is the primary key. In the department table, department number is the primary key. Now, if I ask you the question that name the department of the student but 2, then you will say that he is studying in ECE department. So how you have calculated? You will check in which department number this particular student is working, or sorry, is studying. So he's studying in department number 2, and you go to the department table and you check the department number and you see the department name against the department number 2. So it is ECE. So here the department number is working as link between these two tables, student and department. So in this department table, department number is the primary key, and in this table, department number is the foreign key. A primary key in one table is a foreign key in another table. Right? Hope you understood the basic things about database. Right? So this is all about the database. You have different types of databases like SQLite database, MySQL database, Oracle database. Let us see how to download the SQLite database. So in Google, type SQLite 3 download and click on the first link you obtain. So you, according to your operating system, my operating system is Windows operating system. So you scroll down where this Windows pre-compiled binaries for Windows are there. From there, you click on SQLite tool win32x88.zip. The zip file is downloaded and extract this file wherever you require. And when you extract this, the folder name will be this folder name, that is SQLite tools Windows 32. So I have extracted, say, to this folder, and you can see this. As the folder name is very big, I have renamed this simply to SQLite. When you open this SQLite, you need to see all these 3 files. Right? Now, after extracting this file, okay, you set the path of this file in the environment variables so that you can execute this SQLite from wherever you require. Set the path in the environment variables. Right. So let us open this SQLite. Open the command prompt and type sqlite 3. It is giving sqlite prompt, and it also displaying the version we are using. We are using 3.40.1 version, right? So if you want to exit from this sqlite, type .quit. I'll minimize this. So if you want to create the database, okay, this database will be created in your local file system of your computer. So I want to create my database in this folder. So copy this and change your port prompt to that database. And under this folder, you create your database. So to create the database, the command is sqlite 3 space provided by your SQLite name. Let us my SQLite database name be mydb, and you need to give the extension as mydb. You can give SQLite as the extension, or you can give .db as the extension. So here I am giving .db as the extension and press enter. See, when SQLite 3 my database is created, it is not shown in the folder. So we are creating this in this folder, but here it is not seen. So if you want to see that whether your database has been created, type the command .databases. See, now mydb has appeared here in the folder. Now you can see that database is created, right? And if you want to create a table in mydb, then the command is create table. So I want to create a table, create table. So I want to create student table, create table student, and to create only one column. So I am creating only one column, id int. And if I want to make this id as a primary key, then primary key, close. Right. So if you want to see whether the table has been created under mydb or not, then you need to use the command tables. So student table has been created. If you want to see the schema of the table, schema means the structure of the table, then the command is .schema followed by the table name. So this is the schema of the table. Right? Now, let us have a small introduction in MySQL also. Say, in MySQL, open this MySQL command line client. It prompts for the password. Enter the password. Right? So it also gives the version, and it is displaying the MySQL prompt. So here, to create the database, the command is create database and the database name. and it should be followed by semicolon. So one database has been created. To see the database that are being created, the command here is show databases. You can see here that MyDB database has been created. Right? So if you want to create the table in MySQL, the command is the same, create table, table name. So I want to create a table as person. Then the column names, person ID, which is of type int, name of type varchar. Varchar stands for variable character, of length 25. City of data type, again varchar, of length 25. I'm creating 3 columns here. Closing it. One minute. Sorry. So before creating the table, you need to select the database. So to select the database, the command here is use the database name, that is MyDB. Now the database has changed. Then now you can create the table. The table has been created. I'll repeat. When you are creating the table in the MySQL, first you need to select the database using use command. Now to insert the values into the table, the command here is insert into table name, that is person, and the values you want to insert. Values, bracket open, person ID is 1, person name is XYZ, and city is Hyderabad. So bracket close. Right? So one row has been inserted. To see the data in the table, the command is select. Say I want to see ID from person. Sorry, it is person ID, not ID. It is person ID. Person ID from person. See, the data has been displayed. I want to say all the columns. Then instead of giving individual column names, we use star. Select star from person. The entire data has been displayed. Right. Now let us see this programming, Python programming, accessing the database, these databases using Python program. So let me open this Python ID. Before writing this Python database connectivity program, you need to know what are the functions that are required for database connectivity. So Python SQLite 3 modules are like this. We have connect function, which opens the connection to the SQLite database file. And this return a connection object. Again, you have a cursor function that is used to make the connection for executing the SQL queries. Execute function can be called on cursor object or on connection object. Cursor.execute function will execute an SQL statement, whereas connection.execute function is a shortcut for the above execute method, and it will provide the cursor object and creates an intermediate cursor object by calling the cursor method and then calls the cursor to execute method with the parameters given. This function will fetch all the rows that are, which is the result of the query. I'll repeat, the fetch all function will retrieve all the rows which are the results of the query. And it will return as in the form of list. Fetch one function, query result. Fetch many will return the set of rows of the query result. After completion of your accessing, or if you are completed with your connection and the cursor object that are to be closed. The cursors and the connection objects are closed using cursor.close function and connection.close function. So let us see how to write the program. Let me use this creation of the database. So to establish the connection between SQLite and our Python program, you require SQLite 3 module. This SQLite 3 module is by default provided by the Python when you install it. So I am importing SQLite 3 module. Now create the connection object using connect function. SQLite 3.connect and specify the path of this database where it is there. Copy the path, paste it, and the database name is MyDB. Yes, it is MyDB. You need to provide the extension also. And let's check whether the connection is established or not. Let us print. If it is, the connection is successful, we'll say that database connection is successful. Successful. Let us run this program. The database connection is successful. So once the database connection is successful, let us try to create the table from the Python programming. So we use execute function on this connection object. You need to keep all the code in the triple quotes. Create table. Say, let me construct the customer table. Customer. ID is int of type primary key. I'm creating name of type text. Age again of type int. Address. Now here address I'll take data type of char. Of size 25. Salary of type real. The table creation is successful. We'll print the message, right, saying that the table has been created successfully. Let me run this program. Some syntax error, let me check it. Okay. 1 minute. Instead of add, let me type it as address. This table created, because add is a keyword. It has not taken add as a column name. But table. So let us check this in our SQLite. So your customer table has been created, right? So let us write a small program for MySQL also. So for MySQL, you need a module called as mysql.connector. So this is by default not provided by the Python. You need to download it. I have installed MySQL server in the system, and when MySQL server has been installed, the connectors are installed by default. If you are not installing MySQL server or anything else, so if you want to install manually separately, go with pip install. This has to be installed separately. It will not by default come with Python. Right? So what is the database that we are having here? My database, right? MyDB. So input mysql.connector, create the connection object. My connection is equal to mysql dot connector dot connect. Host is my local host. User is equal to root. So you need to give a host name, username, and password as the parameter values. Connect object in MySQL will take minimum these three values for the connection. Password, you need to specify your password. And create the cursor object. Create the cursor object on connection object. You need to call the cursor function on connection object. So call the execute function on this cursor object. So my cursor dot execute function, and here in the execute function we write the SQL command. So I want to create the database. Create database. So already my DB is there. So just I'll create the database DB. Right? So let me execute this program. See, no errors. So this program has been successfully executed. Let me check the database that are being created. See, DB has been created from our program. Now, let me create the table. So to create the table here, already we have created the database. To create the table, let me create, add the database here, that what I want to use. Here you need to add database is equal to my DB. Right? Already we have created the cursor object, and under MyDB database, we want to create a table. My cursor dot execute. Create table. Say the table name is EMP. And just I'm creating only one column, name of varchar 25, of size 25. Right. So let me execute this program. There's no errors. So our table has been created successfully. Let us see here. I think it is in MyDB only. So let me check the tables. Show tables. So EMP table has been created. Right? So this, in this way, you will connect it to the databases using Python. So if you are using SQLite, then we require SQLite 3 module. And if you are using MySQL, then you require mysql.connector. And if you are using Oracle, you require a module called as cx_Oracle module. Only SQLite 3 will be available in the Python program. But if you want to connect it to MySQL or Oracle, you need to download the appropriate connectors. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you.